What's up, James? What's up, Emmett? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. What up, James? What's up, Grimslayer? My day was pretty okay, pretty normal. I did not take a nap today, which is nice. Oh wait, yeah, I did. I've been getting really tired, like crashing some energy drinks or something lately. I didn't eat much today. I ate oatmeal and banana and honey. But that's about it so far, and a couple protein shakes. What's up, Emmett? Hung out with my friends today at school. Today's my last day, so I was like, oh, that sucks, bro. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. When I was a kid, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was very happy when school ended. Just got done with my workout. Hell yeah, Emmett. I'm happy with school too. Hell yeah. Good. What's up, Stephen Sullivan? How you doing, brother? What's up, Rich? I also raced my friends and won against them. Hell yeah. I didn't do any running today. My legs hurt so freaking bad. Yesterday, I did an actual, structured leg workout, right? And yeah, I'm feeling it already. I think it's going to be worse tonight. We will find out. I'm actually wrapping my hands today. As you can see. That's why, and it takes forever to do this because I suck at it. And when you look up how to wrap your hands on YouTube, there's not one way to do it. There's so many different ways apparently. And so I just go with whatever I saw first, basically. Actually, I think I go with whatever one that I can do easiest. The one thing I'll tell you, one mistake I've made when I wrap my hands, whenever you're wrapping your hand, you do want to do it pretty, semi-tight, but keep your hand open while you do it. Because if you wrap it tight while you're making a fist, like closing it, it'll be too tight and then it hurts. It squeezes your hand too much and then you have to unwrap it and rewrap it. Trust me, I've had to do that. Go a couple more times over my thumb and then we'll finish on the wrist. What do you think? Oh yeah, and today I'm gonna practice slipping. Slip the jab, slip the jab, slip the jab. Like Rocky says. I watched Rocky recently also, so I'm pretty motivated, obviously. I don't know if you guys ever watched Rocky, but I highly recommend. watching all 5 Rockies. One of them really thought they were faster than me, so I had to make sure he knew who was faster. Oh, there we go, Mr. E. Thank you, brother. Not to brag, but today at school I'm looking good enough for people to come up to me and ask about my workout routine. There you go, bro. There you go. I'm going into track next year. Track's awesome. What you watch monkey boxing? What? Why do you say monkey boxing? What in the world? That's a blue one too. Oh, it's Rich. What do you? Oh, okay. It's Rich. Motivated to drink raw eggs? No, absolutely not. I will not drink raw eggs. I was watching monkey boxing in class. Oh, monkey boxing, huh? Never heard of that. Weird. Oh, wow, these are hard to put on with the hand wraps on. It's Rich that explains that I watched all Rocky movies. Yeah, I love the Rocky movies. I just watched the 5th one last night with Cheesy. I made Cheesy watch all the Rocky movies. That was part of his grounding. If he wants to watch anything on TV, he has to watch a Rocky movie instead. Okay, so the guy said to twist your foot when you slip. Slip and then hit. Slip and then hit. Boom, boom. It does feel 1,000 times better with the hand wraps on. Slip, slip, hit. Slip. I don't know how. Slip like this, I guess. Bam. And then stay on your toes. Stay on your toes, he says. Stay on your toes. Slip. All right, I need to get the timer and such. Thank you, James and Rich. I think. Boxing is fun. I've been watching Man of Steel. Yeah, Man of Steel's, I like Superman. It's hard. I feel like I'm just more comfortable doing this Philly shell stuff. Using my shoulder. Hey, boxing club. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Emmett. Hey, Rich, calm down, please. I can't see if you, I can't scroll in the chat because I don't have my fingers. But I don't know if you're spamming a bunch, but don't do that. Trying to wonder why. Okay, so he said, twist your front foot to slip like this. Twist your back foot to slip like this. Boom. Boom. Twist front foot. Oh, you can't see my feet, can you? What's up, Kristen Creations? Nebraska have any good theme parks? I don't know. I've never been to Nebraska, I don't think. What's up, Krishna Creation? Thank you. I'm trying to practice stuff. Oh yeah, and we're supposed to get into the story today, aren't we? I forgot about that. Yes, story. Okay, so where did we leave off last time? I'm trying to think where I left off last time. Please don't spam so much. Tips have his gloves on, can't scroll. Yeah, I can't scroll, so I'm gonna miss a lot of chats if we have a lot of spam. What was I gonna say? I'm trying to think of where I was last time in this story. Oh, okay, so I had just gotten out of the boys' home. I went to work as a CNA on a surgical floor in a hospital. And I was gonna tell you about some of the stories in that whole thing. Okay, so yeah, I was dating a girl. I was dating a girl in that town, and I was basically like a stupid 18-year-old boy who basically had his entire life revolve around being in a relationship. And how can I get smack you look in my eyes? I don't remember. What's up? Oh, smack you look in my eyes. I think it comes with a lot of maybe, you know, trials and tribulations. Probably comes with a lot of trials and tribulations. I don't know if you're cut out for it. But anyways, what was I gonna say? So I was living in a little apartment. It was what's called like a quadplex. And it was basically a giant house that had been converted into apartments. And actually one of the guys that was in the boys' home with me ended up moving next door, okay? And but I didn't want to smoke. I didn't want to do any drugs before. I didn't want, like when I got out of the boys' home, I wanted to remain completely good to go. I wanted to be good. And then I started hanging out with people, and everybody just wanted to do drugs. So basically, sooner or later I gave in. I started smoking pot again. And then I linked up with a couple of friends. Okay, hold on. Let me get into the whole thing. Okay, so I was having relationship issues with the girl, right? She was breaking up with me, not breaking up with me. We were getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. And I felt, I don't know how to describe it. I felt alone. You know, I was very lonely in this town where I didn't really know anybody. And it was taking a toll on me. So I was doing stupid stuff. I was acting out of character to try to hang out with people that I shouldn't. And so then I linked up with these Mexican guys that I used to know from middle school. And it was my buddy from middle school and his older brother, right? And apparently they had access to more harder drugs. Okay, let's just say that. And his older brother had convinced me to let him borrow my truck to go to the bigger city area and get some of that stuff and come back, and he'll give me a chunk, whatever. And I let him do it. And he didn't come back till like the next day. But he did come back, and he did give me that stuff. And I had never seen that stuff. I had never done that stuff. And the stuff was white. I'll just say that. And I had never seen it, never done it. And I didn't know anything about it. All I had ever seen was when somebody had done it on movies, like Tony Montana, okay? So that was the only experience. I didn't know how much you did, especially for your first time. I didn't know how much you did. And I'm sitting there alone in my apartment with a freaking good sized chunk. Let's just say that, a good sized thing of powder. And so I freaking laid out what I thought was normal, and it was like what you would call, I would consider it the width and length of my pinky, okay? And I say the length and the width of the pinky. So it was too goddamn much. And I did it, and I was like, I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. And then I went out on my front porch, and I did kind of start to realize that everything felt a little brighter outside or something. And then I got overwhelmingly nauseous, and I went and threw up over my railing of my porch. And basically this is what happened, okay? I did this. Wow! 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 And so what ended up happening was I never ever stopped doing that. I didn't stop doing that until I lost my job, until I lost my apartment. I got a payday loan. No, I got a title loan to get more. I defaulted on that. I lost everything and ran out of money. And then I finally quit doing it. So it was like one complete setting. If you basically never coming down for about 3 months, losing everything, speed running, losing every little thing you got, including the girlfriend. And then moving back in with mom, where she was squatting, and yeah, it sucked. Okay, so yeah, I ended up packing all my stuff in one day. The Mexican guys packed all their stuff in one day too. And they moved out of their house and I moved out of my house, leaving all the condiments in the fridge, everything. Just took off like an idiot. I was probably almost 19 at this time, close to 19, but still 18. And so then I come back and I come to this town, and my mom was living in a small little house that was just dilapidated, but she was squatting there, and somehow we had electricity. She had the electricity turned on, and she was paying the electric bill. I don't know how that works, but it did. And but we didn't have running water. We did have running water for a little while, but then we wouldn't have running water. So I don't know if you were here for the last, part 2 of the story, but mom is doing a lot of drugs at this time, right? She's like queen of the tweakers in this town at this time. Not anymore, but back in the day, and we're talking like almost 20 years ago, she's queen of the tweakers, okay? And I start staying with her, and I start hanging out with my old friends here in this town. And I got a job as a waiter, and I was waiting tables. And basically I was just, I don't know how to describe it. I was living almost homeless, but I mean, mom had the squat area. Why did we have water? Why did we have running water sometimes? Let me tell you that. The shower never worked. I never was able to take a shower there. We would take showers at a church, but I'll get into that. So at this time, her boyfriend, who had just went to prison, had finagled the hot water tank connections. And I don't know how he made them work, but they were freaking painted shut. And, well, they were painted sealed, like the elbows and the PVC pipes. They were all basically painted sealed. Like, that's how they were connected. And it worked for a while. And one night, I'm sleeping on her couch, and we have 2 dogs there. And I don't know why I said that part, but all of a sudden at like 2 a.m., you just hear this. And it's because those pipes the seal had busted. And so it just started spewing water in her little hallway area. And she jumps up, and she's already awake apparently, and she screams to me to go outside and turn the water off. Well, I don't even know how to do that. I don't know what she means. How do you turn the water off? The faucet's over there. That's a pipe. And then she runs out there and she turns the water off. And then I learned how to turn water off in a manhole, I didn't know how to do that. Yeah, whatever. So then we go without the running water for a long time. And then what happens is she would get, she would do some drugs, and she would what's called geeter out. You ever heard of geetering out? She would do that. She would geeter out. And when she was high enough, she would repair that. She would repair that. And most of the time, what would happen is she would repair it that day, and that night it would bust again. But so that was how I lived for quite a while. I was basically running around trying to hustle, only getting enough money to buy some pot and smoke it, and that was basically my entire objective. Every day, each day was either go to work and wait tables and get enough tips to buy a bag, or go somewhere in town and figure out something to do to make some money, whether or not that be legal or not. And I was just a hoodlum. I was a very bad hoodlum. I'm not going to get into all the things that I got into, obviously. I mean, statute of limitations would protect me, but I feel awful for some of the things that I did. I never hurt anybody, but I did steal from people. And I feel very, very, very bad for some of those things. I was a piece of crap. I was a piece of absolute dog shit, okay? Don't forget that. But I'm not gonna hide it from you. I'm gonna tell you the whole freaking story. So then what? What's next? Living like that for a while. Ooh, I'll tell you a cool story. I'll tell you one crazy story. So while we're living like that, you know, I'm always hanging out with other people, random groups of friends. We have our own little clique, and then we always invite outsiders and, you know, whoever. It's a whole big adventure, right? Well, I'll tell you one thing. A guy who was a boxer, right? Sometimes I'd put the gloves on and we would box people, and people would challenge me because back then I was ripped and skinny, and I've always had good genetics, so I've always looked, even if I'm skinny, I look muscular. I would be challenged to boxing matches all the freaking time. That's what sucks. That's one thing that freaking sucks. Whenever you are naturally athletic and you have a natural, what is it called, mesomorph build, if there's somebody that's good at boxing and they see you, they want to test themselves on you. Even if you're just a normal random dude that never box in their life. So I've had to box just because I didn't want to look like a wuss back in the day. The only experience I've ever had is backyard boxing. And so I'll tell you this story. This guy was on Xanax, and there was another guy who I've already told you about, who was my roommate. Those two, he was an instigator. He was a tall, skinny guy. He was a freaking instigator. And he was always instigating me to box other people. And I found out, you know, I thought he was my friend back in the day. If you got a friend like that, that's always instigating things and always wants to like see if you'll fail, because that's what I felt. He was always testing to see if I'm gonna fail at something. And I don't know, it was weird. But if you got a friend like that, that's not your friend, okay? But anyways, he was always instigating me to go box people. And one of these guys was a boxer, and he was on Xanax. And I kept on telling him, no. I do not want to box. You're on Xanax. Dude, you're messed up. Absolutely not. I do not want to do it. He kept insisting himself. He kept on insisting. He's like, I don't want to look like a pussy. I don't want to look like a pussy. And I'm like, dude, you don't. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. He's like, well, we can do it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. But I also didn't want to look like I was going to back down, you know? So I was like, look, man, if you really, really, really want to, I will, but I don't think we should. And I swear to God, I did say that like 74 times. And we ended up boxing anyways. And he was a boxer. He knew how to box. I didn't, okay? And I knew he knew. And I knew he knew that I didn't know. And so I'm sitting here like, oh crap. And all I'm thinking is I'm just gonna hit him like this. Bam, bam. And that's what I did. He came up to me and he was all fast. He was like, and whenever he came up all fast, I was like, oh crap, his fists are blurry. I don't know what's going on. And I freaking clock him, and I just clocked him right in the eyeball, and he went straight down. Like when my fist hit his head, he went down. And then he got back up and he was like, no, let's go, let's go again. And I'm like, dude, okay, whatever. And the exact thing happened again. Bam, hit him again, bam. And I think it happened 2 or 3 times. And after the third, I think it maybe only happened 2 times. But one of them was like, wham! And I mean, these were big boxing gloves. These were like 16-ounce minimum. And they were like pillows. They were like pillows. So, I mean, maybe it squished into his eyeball too much. I don't know. But I told him, dude, I'm done, blah, blah, blah. We quit. The next day, he freaking calls the instigator. He calls the instigator and because he was staying with me at my mom's, you know, where we were squatting. He says that he can't look down in his left eye. He said he cannot look down in his left eye. And he has to go to the doctor. And so I'm freaking out because I'm like, dude, I told you, I freaking told you. And then sooner or later, he's fine. Like he was able to do everything fine later on. But he called us sitting here telling us that he can't look down in his left eye. And he said he kind of does remember it, but he doesn't really remember everything. And yeah, I was angry. But guess what that got him to do? He was like, damn, I've never had anybody hit me that hard. That's crazy. You must hit really hard. So you need to box my friend, this guy. And this guy's like this freaking tall, and he's like my same build. So he's got like 50 pounds on me, 40 pounds on me, I don't know. And like I'm what, 19 years old at this time, 20? I don't even know. But so he insists that I box another guy. And of course, I don't want to look like a wuss, and I don't want to back out. So I'm gonna do it. Let's do it. Whatever. And this guy comes, and they're like, hey, we want to film it. And I'm like, all right, let's film it. And I really wish I had that footage. I don't have that footage. But I've seen the footage, and I remember the footage, and the footage was freaking awesome. But I don't remember the actual partaking of the event. This is what happened, okay? We're at my mom's squatting house. At the time, the water doesn't work. We don't have running water. So we go down to this park to go to the bathroom. And so I'm scared. I'm very, very scared. And I tell my buddy, I'm like, hey man, drive me down to the park. I gotta go to the bathroom before all this goes down. And he's like, all right. And I'm like, guys, I just gotta go to the bathroom real quick. And they're like, all right. And so I go into the bathroom of that park, and I'm just like, oh God, oh God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And okay, so I'm getting myself pumped up. I did not have to go to the bathroom. I try to go to the bathroom just in case I do crap myself during this boxing match, because I did already see this guy, and this guy's like this tall, and he's my build. It's scary. I'm scared. And so all I remember, okay, so I come back, and then we just, all right, let's go. And we get up, I'm like this, you know? And all I remember is I remember looking at the guy, and I remember thinking, okay, you're not gonna be able to box. You're not a fucking boxer, so just do what you did last time and hit him as hard as you can. And all I remember is like trying, and I don't remember much of anything else. I remember getting up. I remember there was hard packed dirt. It wasn't concrete, thank God, but it was very hard packed dirt. And I remember trying to hit him, trying to get in, like engage. And then you have lived the life of savagery. Yeah. I saw IRS, and it got me distracted. Don't talk about the IRS. I don't like them. Okay, so I remember like, you know, and then blurriness, and then I remember falling, and I kind of remember hitting the back of my head on the hard packed dirt. But I immediately had gotten up, and I remember doing this, like being completely out of it, but saying, I'm good. No, I'm good, let's go, I'm good. And I don't remember much after that, but I don't know, holy cow. Okay, let me tell you my point of view. Okay, so we start, I get hurt, I get back up, I'm dizzy, I'm blurry. I'm like, all right, and he's standing right in front of me just like this. Like looking at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm good. And then I don't remember anything. I don't remember nothing. I kind of remember engaging some more and getting hit some more. But then I don't remember nothing. Okay? Next memory, the very next, I wake up, okay? I wake up and I'm in my mom's bathroom. And I'm in front of the mirror, standing there looking at myself, and I'm like this. And I have huge swelling right here. My face, there's no blood, there's no bruises. It's just a huge swelling right here. And all I remember is we were gonna start fighting. Something happened, I got hurt, and then we were gonna start fighting again. And we started fighting again, And now I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I have this huge swollen cheek. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, I must have just got my ace whipped. I must have just got beat down. And I'm sitting in the I'm in the bathroom and there's nobody around. And I'm like, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to go out there. I am so, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And so I freaking walk out and I'm looking at everybody and they're like, kind of like everything's normal. Like everything's normal. And I'm like, I must have got my ass kicked because I don't know what happened. And they're like, it was a pretty good fight. It was a pretty good fight. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, you just watched it like 3 times. What's up? Okay, I'm not gonna order it right now. You can order it. Okay. All right. Nah, I'm not eating anything else. All right, I gotta continue the story. I'm in the middle. Love you. So, yeah, okay, so I had come to, and apparently I had already requested to see the video multiple times. They told me that I had already been talking about it and that it was actually a very close fight and that I knocked him down multiple times. He knocked me down multiple times. And I was like, well, let me see the video. And they're like, you just watched it like 5 times. And they were like mad at me. And I was like, no, I don't remember anything right now. Okay, I just woke up in the bathroom standing up. Okay. And nobody, like they couldn't understand. And I couldn't convey to them that I was not alive at that time, actually. And I still don't remember what happened. I just know that it was actually, I remember watching the video for the last time, and yeah, it was a good fight. It was crazy. It was just a bunch of haymakers going everywhere. And there was a time where I freaking ducked and just wham. I looked like a professional boxer. And it was because one of the guys said that, one of the guys that was a boxer, he said, it could have been you were concussed and basically you just went all out. And I was like, well, I probably had to go all out for that guy. And yeah, so that happened. And so, yeah, that was, somebody said CTE. I saw something about CTE. I probably did get a little bit of dose of that on that one. But yeah, that was crazy. And I wish I had that footage. I still know who the guy is. I don't know if he has it still. I bet he does. I should ask him. I'm going to ask him for that. That would be so cool if he had it. Because I have seen it. I know I have. But I know he did a bunch of drugs. And I think he's good now, but we'll see. That was pure adrenaline. Yeah, I was terrified. Okay, so then what happened? And then during around that time, okay, so I got kicked out of my mom's house sooner or later. So my mom, she would always get mad. Like we would leave her house not cleaned up. Like it'd be all messy and she'd be coming down from something and she'd be pissed. And so she'd kick me out every so often. Sometimes I had to sleep in a friggin' tent. And what happened was I worked with a guy. Oh, check this out. This is cool. This is cool. I worked with a guy at the restaurant that I was waiting tables at. He had just got a new apartment and he offered me to stay there if I paid him like 50 bucks a week or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But I started staying there. Guess who that guy was? That guy is actually the older brother of the first DoorDasher tipper that I gave. So he let me stay there and I was able to stay there for about a month. But his little sister turned out to be the first DoorDasher tipper that I gave. So I stayed with him for a while. And then I moved into another friend's house. And then basically it was a party house. And we partied all the time, and we were selling pot out of that house all the time. And that's all we were doing. I was working as a waiter and going crazy. I think I was about 20 years old at this time, 20 or 21. No aspirations in life. Thinking I need to keep building up this selling game. Thinking I'm gonna be some kind of friendly Tony Montana. And so, except green Tony Montana. So what happened? So then party house, friend's house, party house. Well, guess why it was a party house? Because it was his mom's house, and his mom was letting him live there. He was 18 and or 20 something, I don't remember. But his mom came by one day and saw the state of the place and saw that it was just used as a whole party house. So she basically kicked everybody out. So then when I got kicked out of that house, I had to move back in with my dad. And I lived with my dad for about a month. And then me and my friend saved up enough money to get a place, an actual house to rent. It was a 1-bedroom. But I let him take the room, and I took the living room. And I just put my bed behind the sofa in the living room. And so then that is when I get in big trouble, right? So we're living like that for a while, and we're both selling pot, and he gets freaking pulled over one day, and he has a little bit on him, and he gets probation for it. No big deal. Well, then I get fired from my job. I remember this. He worked at a car wash. I worked at a Texas Roadhouse kind of restaurant. I get fired because I forgot that I was covering somebody's shift, and it was a double shift, and the manager didn't like me anyway, so it was a no-call, no-show for 2 shifts in a row. Automatic getting fired. So I got fired, and then the next day I got a job at the car wash that my roommate worked at. So then I started working at the car wash with him. And then I bought a moped. I had forgot to tell you, I got my driver's license suspended at one point, and so I was driving a moped. And I was working at the car wash, selling pot, and driving a moped, and basically still trying to get girlfriend. That was basically my one-track mind, was chicks. And so living like that. Oh, and then I got a job. There was an Arby's right next to the car wash. I got 2 jobs. I was working at Arby's and the car wash, but then I quit the car wash because I didn't like the car wash. So then I was working at Arby's, and Arby's was cool. I liked Arby's. I was actually really good. I was really good at the sandwich making part of everything. And my manager actually liked me a lot. But the thing is, I didn't make very much money at Arby's. I made a lot more money when I was at home answering phone calls. So what I would do is my manager would schedule me from like 11 to 4 or 5, and I would be mad. But somebody else would be scheduled from 11 to 2. So I would tell them, hey, if you switch me shifts and you stay till 5 and you let me go at 2, I'll give you $20. And then sooner or later it switched, like it went all the way up to like $70. I will give you $70 if you stay till 5 and let me leave at 2. And people would be like almost crying. And I feel bad because that's how hard up people were back then. $70 was enough to sit there and basically make somebody cancel plans so that they could get $70. And then they would be like crying because they don't really want to, but they also cannot pass up $70. And if they said no to 70, I'd go to 80, I'd go to 90, I'd go to 100. And so it would be like, basically sooner or later they wouldn't be able to refuse the offer. And I had plenty of money. And yeah. And I had to stop doing that because my manager got mad because she was like, you're better than them at making the sandwiches, you're faster than them, and you need to stop doing that because I want you here, not them. I'm like, whatever. And then sooner or later I quit that job too. Hold on, let me unfilter the chat. I keep forgetting to do that. Oh, and I have a funny story. I'll tell you a funny story. I want to make sure there's not too many kids here though. If you're a kid, sound off. Jace, you're a kid, aren't you? It's not a troll if I ain't exactly the person. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so here, I'll tell you a funny story. I'll tell you a funny story that's kind of coded, okay? You gotta be an adult to really know what I'm talking about. All right, so I had a girlfriend at the time, right? I was working at Arby's. I was selling pot. I was making a lot of money. I had Cox digital cable, and I had the fastest internet you could get, and I had the best cable package you could get, and part of that cable package had a bunch of different channels that kids shouldn't go to. Okay, if you know, you know. And my girlfriend at the time had locked me out of her laptop because because I was looking at that stuff too much. And so she had locked me out of that laptop, and I was mad that she locked me out of that laptop, but I had to figure out how to get it somewhere. So I found these cable channels, and they were like 24-hour blocks. You could only get them in 24-hour blocks. You couldn't get, you know, just the 2 or 3 minutes that you actually needed. You had to get 24-hour blocks of this crap. So I'd pay like 20 bucks. I'd pay like 20 bucks just to freaking watch it for 4 minutes tops, and then move on to a video game, right? But you know, I had a problem back then. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I had a problem back then, and so one day, she comes to my work. She comes to Arby's. She comes to Arby's, and I'm sitting there, and she goes, "I got the cable bill. I got the cable bill." And I'm like, "So what?" And she's like, "It's $300 some." And I'm like, "I don't care. I'll pay it." And she goes, "I called them." Because on the cable bill, it tells you why your cable bill is so expensive. Well, it doesn't tell you certain titles of certain titles. You know what I mean? It just says movie rental, 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 movie rental. Okay? So she, I guess, calls them, and they basically start listing the titles of these movie rentals. Oh yeah. So I'm in my I'm at Arby's. I'm working, and she's like yelling at me because I got too many movies. And I was like, "Well, sorry." Oh yeah, this was a weird deal at this time. Okay, I liked her and I wanted to be with her, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. There was some weird stuff going on to where I would say, no, I don't want to do anything. I got a headache. And then I'd wait for her to fall asleep and I'd go take care of myself. What the heck? What the heck's up with that? But that's true. I did do that. It happened in my early 20s. And it happened multiple girls that I liked. I really liked. But yeah, so that was a result of that. That's weird sounding. Do not DM this guy asking. Jeez Louise. What's up, Njad? What's up, Jace? Oh, I was able to code it pretty well. I'm sure you weren't able to. Even if you listened, you had probably no idea what I was talking about. Okay, where are we now? We're at an hour almost. Okay, I'm gonna take a break from the story. Where was I at? I'm still kind of in the same area of time, but I don't have much more to tell in detail about that time. We're now living together. Now I'm living with my roommate, and it's just me and him working at Arby's. Oh, and then he moves out. Okay, yeah, okay. I'll tell you all about it. Okay. I'm gonna take a break though. I'm just gonna hit the back for a while. And if you have any questions, I will stare at chat here in a second. Thank you, Njad. Who is he referring to? Referring to the viewers who have naughty thoughts. Well, man, how have you been? I've been good. I've been good. Today's a rest day. Yesterday, I did a structured leg day workout, and my legs are beat. My legs actually feel more worked out and more sore and tight than any other leg day I've ever had. So I'm thinking about going ahead and checking out structures for chest day, structures for pull day, and following them instead of just going willy-nilly failure all the time like I've been doing. Because I can go to failure, but maybe I'm not getting enough reps still throughout the whole thing. Because I go to failure every set. On the first set, bam, go to failure. I don't know. That leg day just was way better. Gonna be cripples in about 36 hours. What are cripples? Oh, crippled, yeah. Oh, I know what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, I hope not. Knock on wood, thank you. I did a lot of walking today, trying to keep them loose. I rubbed my warming cream on them. This is still awkward feeling. Am I even doing this right? Slip, slip. I feel better with just throwing my shoulder up. I'm a retired power lifter. Front kick the bag hard. No, my hip hurts. I could never avoid the horrid recovery. Yeah. Please don't let your son be seduced by manosphere. You'll become resentful, bitter, and alone. What do you mean manosphere? You mean the... You mean... I don't know. I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the LARPers. Let's go, you look like you got knockout power. Oh, I've been practicing every day. I definitely have knockout power, I just don't have technique. If I can hit somebody, it'll hurt them pretty good, but I just need to be able to actually do it and not get hit. That's the part that I'm not very good at, is the whole slipping. I'm awkwarded out. Ugh. He said, turn this, twist on this front foot. Now I gotta go here, here, there. Back foot twist. The Manosphere is a loose online network of podcasts, influencer forums, and communication or communities based on masculinity, dating, self-improvement, and gender politics, often ranging from mainstream men's advice to more extreme anti-feminist viewpoints. You mean like MG Towel? MG Towel. Men going their own way. I had to look that up. No, there's no, the Manosphere is a little too, it's on one side. It's way too far on one side. Unlike most things, a lot of things are just way too far on one side. You got to have the perfect yin-yang thing. You got to have the good balance. Yin-yang. Yin-yang. You know what I mean? Feminine and masculine. You have to have the balance. You can't be too masculine, or else, honestly, you actually go looping around and you start being feminine again. Whenever you start being way over the top masculine, it loops around. It loops around. It's a circle. So try to stay more in the middle area. Because it's like the more you go this way, the more masculine you get. The more you go this way, the more feminine you get. But if you go all the way this way, you blip and you go to the very, very max feminine. It's not a gradient that goes smooth both ways. The gradient's here, but here it's a hard edge. And it just goes, it's like Pac-Man. It goes whoop, 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 whoop. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, let's say this is your Pac-Man character. It'll go over here, and then it'll appear right here. It's a frightening time to have a son. Well, I have to make sure you get it. Corner store profit. I gotta make sure. All right, I'm gonna get some hand speed. We're gonna try hand speed. And then I'll get back into the story. So I'm living with my roommate and he's on probation now. And we are about to get raided. We're about to get raided by the police. I want to get tired. My gut's feeling that drink a little too much. All right. Critics say that the manosphere can promote misogyny, resentment, conspiracy thinking, and unhealthy. Sound like a news article, brother. Get that work done, warrior. You're looking sharp again. Thank you, Fire's Corner. I didn't see that one, corner store. I was gonna read it, but then you retracted it. Okay, so what was I gonna say? Okay, so he got on probation, and I've already told this story before, but I'm gonna go through this one pretty quick. He got on probation. We were both selling pot, and his probation officer. I had a camera that pointed at my front door, and I could see cars pulling up, and I could see people walking to my front door. And his probation officer came, and I knew it was his probation officer because I had been on probation many times. So I knew who she was. And so she is there and I'm panicking at this point. And then I see a uniformed officer come up behind her, and then I knew I'm effed. So instead of grabbing my stuff, I only had like half of a pound. So like it was brick. So it was bricked up, and it was only like this big. It wasn't that big. It wasn't like a full brick, it was half of a brick. And I didn't grab it and flush it down the toilet like I was supposed to. I panicked. I went into the bathroom and I was like, okay, they're just gonna come in and I'm just gonna say I was going to the bathroom. I didn't know what was going on. I'm just here in the bathroom. So I'm waiting in there, and they come in and they talk to my roommate, and they say, "Is this yours?" They ask my roommate a yes or no question. "Is this yours?" And he says, "No, that is my roommate's." And then he says my first and my last name. And I hear it all because I'm right there in the bathroom. And so we both get in trouble. We get the exact same charges because they found his stuff too. And I was not about to fess up to his stuff when he just literally told them about my stuff. So we both get charged. And I get possession with intent to distribute, possession of paraphernalia with intent to distribute, and tax stamp, and within 1,000 feet of the school. All of these things were within 1,000 feet of the school, which I did not even realize at the time. There was a grade school like 3 blocks away from us. So then what happens? Went to jail, obviously, got out, got on corrections. So I didn't go to prison, but I had a 18-month underlying sentence, and I had to get on something called community corrections, which is basically felony probation. And so you've probably heard of parole. Parole is what's considered a step out of prison. Community corrections is what's considered a step into prison. So if you fail community corrections, you just go to prison. And so what ended up happening was we're not friends anymore, and he moves out. And so it's just me and my girlfriend living there then. And then that's when I was working at Arby's and she told me all that stuff. But then a guy that I had sold to, one of my customers, was like, hey man, are you looking for an actual job? And I was like, yes, I am looking for an actual job. And I thought he was bullcrapping for like 6 months. But then he comes and he's like, hey, here's an application. If you want this, you could probably start next week. And I'm like, all right. And so that's when I started working at the grain elevators. And I got an actual job and I quit selling pot. So I was living with my girlfriend. I was working an actual job, living at the same house that we got busted in. I had a roommate. I had one roommate because it was hard to pay the bills still. Our rent was only $350 a month, but it was still hard to pay that. I only made, my paychecks were $700. Well, actually my paychecks were like $500 at first. And then I got a raise later on and my paychecks were like $700. But this girl decides that she wants to make more money and she starts actually selling pot. And she actually went into my phone and got my customer contacts. And so then she basically starts selling pot. And I'm cool with it because she's making plenty of money and I'm not technically doing it. Even though, you know, it didn't matter to the cops. But then what happened? Oh yeah, okay. Me and that girl had lots of problems. And she, before she was with me, she was with a girl. Oh yeah, I remember this. One night, this girl was crazy. She was with a girl. Her ex was a girl, right? And her ex shows up because apparently she had gotten kicked out of her house and she basically lost everything at this point. And she shows up to my freaking house and basically I open the door and this very skinny little girl comes at me with a crowbar. And I was like, what the heck's going on? What the heck? And then I take the screen door and I'm just like, whoa. And I close the screen door right before she gets there. She's running at me. Have no idea what she has in her hand, but she has something raised above her head. Close the screen door and she runs into the screen door and the crowbar, I see it smack the top of the glass. Didn't break it, but it smacked it like she just kind of ran into it like this. And then as soon as she did that, I was like, whoa, no. And so I opened the screen door and I grabbed her and put her on the ground and grabbed the crowbar from her. And I was like, what the heck's going on? And she was basically crazy for that, you know, my girlfriend at the time. So I just said, you know, get her out of here. I'm going inside. I'm taking the crowbar with me. True syrup. Yeah, true syrup tonight. Thank you, Emma. So that had happened, right? And this girl, I was having so many issues with her. I was pretty sure she was cheating on me, but I was on corrections and I was still smoking at the time. And I remember what happened was I had gotten a UA and I failed it. And so my corrections officer, it was like December 30th or December 29th. And I remember my corrections officer put me in jail for 3 days. And so I had to spend New Year's in jail. And my girlfriend was at my house. And, oh, and at this time so we've talked about this right here, right? I forgot to tell you, at this time I had Googled and I had looked up how to grow these things. And I was growing these in my grandma's basement. And so I was in jail. And so I was panicking because I couldn't manage these things. And she cheated on me probably, I think. I don't know. But I got out and then I remember the next day I had ate a bunch of these things. And I was tripping pretty good, but not like nothing spectacular. And some random dude just shows up at my house. And I was like, I opened the door and I'm bugged out. You know, I already ate a bunch of these things. And I'm kind of bugged out, right? But I'm like very confident. And I open the door and I'm like, what are you doing? What? What? And he's kind of freaked out. He's like, whoa, what the heck's going on? And so he ends up leaving. Apparently he said he was like looking for pills, but I think that was just an excuse. And he wasn't expecting me to be there. And he showed up, and he left. And I'm like talking to her, but I'm tripping also at the same time. So I'm kind of tripping, but I'm also like, yeah, I don't really care. What was he doing? Why was he here? What the hell was going on? But then sooner or later, we break up, right? And finally I get her to move out because she was crazy. She was from California. She was from LA, apparently. And she was adopted in LA. And her parents were rich. But they had sent her here to Kansas to a freaking girls' home. Because she was actually kind of crazy. And I didn't know all this until I started dating her. But so she was kind of like, she had money back home, but they were like, stay the fuck away from us. You take care of her. And whenever I talked to him, that's kind of how the impression I got was like, it's your problem now, bro. And finally, they paid for an apartment and got her out of there. And then she knew that I have a chip on my shoulder, and I always have, when it comes to tweakers. I don't like them. I don't like meth. I've always hated them, because my mom was always on that crap. And I didn't tell you, but there were many instances where I had to beat up a tweaker. Oh, I'll tell you about that. Hold on. Okay. So anyways, basically, when we broke up, she decided that she's going to go hang out with tweakers and then start doing meth. And she was already very skinny when we were dating. But one day she came to my house to pick something up. And I remember seeing her, and holy cow, it was scary. She was a very skinny little girl, right? But her arms, I could see her, they're like noodle arms, right? It's not a good example, but her arms were like, this little noodles, right? But you could see up here, you could see this little bicep. You know what I mean? A tiny little bicep right there. That's how skinny she was from the meth. I don't blame you. I'd be frightened of meth addicts. No telling what they could do. They stay awake for 48 hours. Oh, I'll tell you a story about that. I'll tell you a story. So my mom was a queen pin. My mom was like the queen tweaker of our town, right? For a couple decades. And so I had to deal with them all the time. But she was very, very good about never having it around me and having them shut the hell up when I was around. Thank you, Monk. I appreciate that, brother. But, I'll tell you this cool story. This is a cool one. I'm kind of proud of this one. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so my mom's boyfriend at the time, he was a big old tweaker guy. And he knew another guy who was a roofer, okay? And he owned his own roofing crew, supposedly. And it was just a bunch of tweakers, honestly. And I needed a job, and so he let me come roofing. And he was like trying to take me under his wing, And he was a weird, squirrely guy. I was always like, no. And I couldn't tell if he was, like, he didn't do the tongue thing. I'm exaggerating a bit. You know how tweakers are, like. So he was one of those where it's like, are you a tweaker? I can't tell. Are you just like hyper? Just one of those are you on Adderall, maybe? Adderall? But it was one of those kind of guys, right? Oh, thank you, James. Yeah, I saw your workout today, buddy. Yeah. And so but I started roofing for him. But he was like trying to take me under his wing. He was like trying to be my friend. And I did not want to be his friend. I just wanted to work and get money. And he would be driving in the truck. And I remember one time, I was always muscular back then. I was skinny and I just had an athletic build. But I was always I always triggered something in other dudes that was like, I'm tough too. I'm tough too. So it triggered it in him, apparently. And one day he was just randomly talking about stuff about hitting some guy in the head with a hammer and having to go to prison and blah, 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 blah. And then he randomly looks over at me and he's like, you think you could take me? And I'm like, no, I could definitely not take you, no. And I totally thought I could, because I was a 19, 20-year-old punk. Of course I thought I could take him. But I wasn't going to say that because he was my boss. And so that's the kind of guy he was. He would literally ask a 19-year-old, you think you can take me? And he wasn't like asking like, do you want to fight me? He was asking like, do you think you could? Like he genuinely wanted to know if I thought he was tough or not. I think that's kind of what it was. And so then he wanted me to do a roof, or he wanted us to do a roof that was extremely steep and nobody could stay on it. And I was like, I'm not going to do this thing because I can't walk on it. And what the hell? We don't have any harnesses or anything. And everybody's tweakers here. So I'm just going to leave. And so I left and I didn't go back. And he still owed me money for like a week of work. And so we hung out in the same neighborhoods. His girlfriend lived across the alley from my mom. So my mom's house faced this way. Then you go around the block and his girlfriend's house faced this way. We just had an alley between them. So I would see him all the time. And I never did anything. I never said anything really. But I would mean mug him. And I'd be like, you know, you need to, or I would insinuate, and my mom would yell at him all the time and say that he needs to pay me my money. One day we were at, I remember he was at a gas station, and I just like stood there and looked at him, but I didn't do anything or say anything to him. But then I was walking down a street, and I remember this street was new asphalt. I remember because the asphalt was kind of rough, like sandpaper asphalt. I don't know how to describe it, but new asphalt, rough asphalt. That'll come into play. He lives. My mom's boyfriend lives right there, and then one of his workers lives next door to my mom's boyfriend. I'm walking to my mom's boyfriend's house, right, and I hear the familiar sound of his truck. I knew it was him coming, and I turn around and I look. So I'm looking like this, right? I'm actually walking this way, and I look this way, and I see him going, and all I do is say like fuck you or something like that. I didn't say nothing really. I was just like, what bitch, you know? And then he drives, and I seen an old buddy of mine from middle school, high school, was in the passenger seat, working for him probably. And he ends up screeching to a halt, right? And he gets out of his truck and he's like, and I don't know exactly what he said, but I think I said something like, you owe me money. And then I think he swung on me or something. Somehow we just started fighting. And I remember hitting him, and I hit him, like I was actually trying to do boxing, which I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so I was trying to throw a jab, and it felt like a super unfolded lawn chair. But I remember dinking him in the face and feeling like it was like going through, like I'm going through slow gel. But I remember dinking him in the face. And then I remember him like trying to do a big swing on me, and I duck under it, and he comes around like this, and then I grab onto him, and then I slam him down onto the ground. And when I slam him onto the ground, I had shorts on. Remember what I said about the asphalt? It was new, rough asphalt. And when I slam him down on the ground, I hit both of my knees, bam, on that asphalt. And so, and I knew in my head, I just hurt my knees, but I wasn't thinking at the time. I was like, I'm gonna beat this guy up. And so then I remember like I'm on my knees right here, and I kind of got up on my knees, and he was on his back, and he sat up, and he was facing this way, right? And his head was right here. And I just remember going, bang, right on the side, like right on the back of his head, bang. And so then we get up again. We basically just both get up. And he tries to hit me again, and he does something like this. And I hit him, and he falls over again. And then he gets back up, and he's like this. All right. And he says my name. I'm not going to say my name. He's like, all right, Tips. All right, Tips. You win. You win. And my buddy's out of the truck. Not my buddy, but my old buddy from school who's now his worker. And he's like, dude, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. And they get back in the truck, okay? And I'm like looking at my knees like, oh my God, I'm scraping like gravel out of my knees. And he does not get into his truck. He grabs a freaking crowbar, a big old thick roofing crowbar out of his truck. And he starts walking to me with the freaking crowbar. And I'm basically like, nope, I am not going to get near this guy with that crowbar in his hand. And I just kept looking at him. I kept on backing up down the street. And I was like, I'm not going to let you get close to me with that. And he's like, come on, come on, come on. And he's like shaking angry. And there was two guys standing. One of them was leaning up against a car like this, you know. And then another guy was standing on like his porch or something. And I walk up to them. I'm like, hey guys, this guy's about to try to hit me with a crowbar. Can you like call the police or something? And they're like, they don't do nothing. They're not going to call the cops. You could tell. And they're like, they talk to him and they're like, you don't want to do that, man. I've been to prison. You don't want to do that. And the guy's like, I've been there. I've been to prison too. I've been to prison too. And I'm like, well, I've never been to prison and I don't want to get hit with a crowbar. So go away. And then finally he just leaves. So that happens, right? And then I end up going back to my mom's house, having terrible, terrible scabs all over my kneecaps to where it scabs over and dries out to where if I bend them, it basically opens them up again. It hurts. I've never had a blade pulled on me, I don't think. I've never been sliced. No, I've never been sliced, as far as I know, as far as I remember. But yeah, and he didn't swing the crowbar at me, but he definitely was threatening when he was walking towards me. But he didn't swing it at me. But guess what happened? So he's at the house next door to my mom's boyfriend now, right? And my mom's boyfriend is an old tweaker. He looks like Skeletor. He doesn't have his two front teeth, but he has these two teeth right here, and they're like fangs. And he's bald right here, but he's got like long hair coming down, scraggly long hair right here. And he's got those fangs, and he's skinny and like 70 or 60. I mean, he looks 60 or 70. And I don't even know how to describe him. He's scary and wiry and like Gollum. He looks kind of like Gollum, right? That's my mom's boyfriend at the time. His name was Jackie. He's dead now, so I can say his name. Jackie. And he had a motorcycle. And he was like a motorcycle mechanic or something. But he gets drunk, right? He gets really drunk. And he also does like heroin and stuff, I guess. But I don't know all about, at the time, I don't know much about him. But he got drunk that night. Really, really drunk that night. And that guy that I done beat up was at that house next door. And Jackie had gotten all riled up, I guess, because of all this. And so he goes out and starts talking a bunch of crap to the guy. And then I get a phone call. My mom is yelling, saying that the guy hit Jackie with the freaking crowbar that he threatened me with. So now I have to go down there, and I go down there and the guy's gone. But yeah, he had a huge gash in his back. And I guess he was like talking a bunch of crap to the guy, and the guy ended up hitting him with the crowbar. Well, I won't mention it then. Even if someone is on something, they put in hard work. Oh God, yeah, more steroid stuff. Well, I'm glad that it's that impressive. I'm in Southampton, you fairy. Ain't no knives unless they're 12. It doesn't even make sense. Life was crazy before phones changed this world. How old are you? I'm 36. And from Bristol. I don't care where you're from. Southampton is posh. I've never been. Okay, so where was okay? That was back in the day. Where was I though? I got busted. We was living with that girl. She became a tweaker. Yes, she became a tweaker, and so I was living by myself again. And then I was starting to get freaking lonely again. So I got a puppy dog, and his name was Bucklisle. Rest in peace, Bucklisle. He was a little, I don't even know what he was. He was a mutt. He was about this big. He's my beautiful angel boy. And so I had Bucklisle. It was just me and Bucklisle for a while. And then I was hanging out with this girl, trying to, hang out with a girl. And I was drinking alcohol at this time, and I was driving a little Ford Ranger. And I went over to her house, and I wanted to hang out, and she just wanted to hang out. And so I guess all we did was freaking hang out. I remember I was like, "Ugh, I wanted to hang out, not hang out." But but she had a litter of puppies, and they were like 6 weeks old, right? They were just old enough to leave and go with somebody else, or be leave the mom. I won't mention it again. Just didn't like how human was so rude and insulting, so negative, man. I hope I'm not talking about my story. Anyways, so one of these puppies that she called Chunk, she called him Chunk. He had crawled up onto the couch while I was drinking, hanging out, and he came up to me and laid right here on me. He was a 6-week-old. He's pit bull / Saint Bernard puppy. He was just a little baby, like this big, just a tiny little baby. And he was just licking me. He just kept on licking me, and I was just like, how much do you say the dogs are? And she goes, they're free. We don't have room for them. We can't afford to keep feeding them. They're free. And I was like, taking this guy home. And oh, Fresh, you gotta go. Hold on, Mr. E. Fresh has to go. He's accusing. Are you accusing me of being a tweaker, or talking about the tweakers that I had to beat up because my mom was a tweaker? I don't like when you say that. So you gotta go. If you were insinuating that I'm the tweaker, you have to leave. Okay. Anyways, yeah, he was a part Saint Bernard and part pit bull, and he had all of the markings of a Saint Bernard, but he had the short-ish fur of a pit bull. So he had like a white spot right here on his face, and then brown overlappers on his eyes, and he had like a brown snout, and then he had like a white diamond little thing on his chest, and brown, and then white belly, and he had brown here, and then down on his legs he had little white spots. And he was just a beautiful little angel. Obviously, he's a beautiful little angel. He's my beautiful little angel. And rest in peace, rest in peace. But yeah, so I was kind of inebriated. I did. I used to drink and drive. I don't ever drink and drive anymore, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to hide things from you guys. I did. I was drinking and driving at this time. And so I was like, look, I'm taking this guy home. He's awesome. And what's his name? And she's like, Chunk. And I'm like, no, his name's not Chunk for sure. For sure it's not Chunk. I'll figure that out though. So we go home and Buck Lyle. Okay, Buck Lyle's about this big, right? Okay, I introduce him to Buck Lyle, and Buck Lyle is like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? He's just like, I don't like this guy. But he accepts him because it's a little tiny puppy, and Buck Lyle is a full-grown miniature dog. You know, I don't know what he was. He was a mutt. He kind of looked like what are those dogs that have the mustache looking like a Scottish Terrier? He kind of looked like a Scottish Terrier except tan and more mutt. But he was like, and he was also buff. He was a little buff Chihuahua looking guy. But he accepted Champ. Oh, and I named him Champion. And so Buck and Champ. And so Champ is littler than Buck right now. And so Buck Lyle is kind of okay with him because he can bully him around and show him who's boss. But Champ grows very quickly, right? As soon as Champ's like a teenager, he's like this big and he's almost double Buck's size. And Buck is still trying to bully him, but he's getting more aggressive with it because he's getting mad, you know, that he can't. And then Champ gets older. He's like this big. And no, maybe, okay, he stands about this tall on his back. Now, you really can't see that. About to my knees, right? He's a teenager boy. And then it's freezing outside, and we're hanging out, and we're running around in the snow because they're all excited. And he freaking jumps onto the chain link fence and slices his paw pad open on the freaking chain link fence. I mean, I don't know. Okay, this is how I understood it, or this is how I noticed it. He is up there, he's running around, then he runs that way, and I walk this way and I see red. And I'm like, what the hell? There's blood. And I look and I see it's blood on his paw, or coming from his paw prints. So I go and check him out, and he's got this huge split now on his paw. Had to take him into the vet. He had to stay overnight, and he got stitches. So then about a year goes by, and I'm still basically living in the same house by myself. No girlfriend. Still working on the grain elevators, barely paying rent, drinking lots of beer, trying to hit up chicks all the time, hanging out with random people sometimes, hanging out with a couple regular friends. But I live my life just on a freaking, I don't know how you describe it, in purgatory. It felt like I was in purgatory. I'm just stuck, no goals, no objectives, just get by, make rent this month, and worry about the next month kind of thing. And so, and a lot of that was, well, I can't pay this, or I can't, if I do this, I can't pay that, but I'll just pay that later so I can go do this right now. And then I would be like, have the landlord show up and be like, where's the freaking rent? I'd be like, I can pay you in 1.5 weeks. Exactly 1.5 weeks. On this day, I'll pay you. And stuff like that would happen. So then what happened? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now. Okay. So mom is now straightening up. Mom is like on her own little side quest or on her own storyline, right? She's got her own storyline going on. Haven't really been talking to her a whole lot, but sometimes I did. Um, but then I started talking to her a lot more because I think she called me and then I went and seen her and I could tell that she wasn't doing drugs anymore, and that was crazy. And so I went and visited her. She was living with this old Mexican guy. We call him Tony. Um, he's always been a solid rock, but I'm pretty sure he's a tweaker too. But he's one of those tweakers that's like actually a good guy, and he, well, as far as I know, he seems like a good guy. He's a very hard worker, and he's straight from Mexico, like straight from Mexico. He speaks English pretty good now, but not that good. And he's old as hell. But anyways, she was living with Tony, and I was like, that's probably the best place she can live. And she was obviously not doing drugs, but she was starting to drink vodka all the time. And I was like, at the time, I was thinking I'd rather her drink vodka than do meth, so it's all good. That was a mistake, but sooner or later, she pretty much gets on her feet, and she gets a job, and she gets an apartment. And I start hanging out with her at her apartment, and I'll go to my house, hang out with my dogs. I'll take my dogs over to her house. And then she got a boyfriend, and then he started living there. And at the time, I was living at my house the whole time, but I was visiting my mom a lot more because she had stopped doing drugs, like I could tell. And I basically wanted it to stay that way, and I had missed her. How long are we? Okay, we got a little while left. So then I was still smoking because I smoked pot with my mom still. And I smoked pot with everybody, but my mom still smoked pot. She drank, but she did not do meth anymore. So that was the big deal. And that was awesome. And I don't remember what happened exactly, but I ended up, oh, yes, I do. I do remember. Okay. I was faking my UAs. I was drinking gallons of water, and I was taking this stuff called Surgel, and I was faking them. Well, my corrections officer had gotten wise to it, and he said, I passed it, and he sent it to the lab anyways. And he said, I said, why you sent it to the lab? Because I saw the line. I saw the freaking line. And I said, why you sent it to the lab? And he's like, just a hunch. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I cared. And so I had another meeting with him in 2 weeks. And so the next meeting I come to my freaking meeting, and I'm like this. Because I know when he gets those lab results, it's gonna say that my creatinine levels were like, woof. And it was basically pure water that I peed out. And because I've had this happen before, right? So I'm sitting here, I walk into his office and I sit down, and I was like, well, obviously, what's gonna happen now? And he's like, what? And I was like, well, I'm sure you got the results back. And he's like, actually, I haven't got them back yet. And I was like, oh. You know what I mean? I was so mad at myself. And so he was like, what are you insinuating? What is it going to tell me? And I was like, it's going to tell you that I drank a bunch of water and I was passing my UA because I drank a bunch of water, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, you're going to jail. And so I went to jail for 30 days. And obviously I couldn't work for that 30 days and I was already struggling to pay rent, right? So after that 30 days, the 30 days was a piece of cake. Um, but my mom had to freaking watch my dogs. My dogs chewed a giant hole in my couch while I was gone. They also, thank God, my big screen TV was unplugged, but they chewed the power cord completely off of my big screen TV. I do remember that. But anyways, what ended up happening was I could not afford rent anymore, and I still have my job because my job loved me, and I started right back at my job whenever I got out of jail. But I was very behind on rent at this time, and so I had to move. And I couldn't move in with my mom because she didn't have any room at the place she was at. But she wanted to get this house. So she got a house on land contract. I don't exactly know how it works, but it's a rent to own deal. And I don't remember where I started working. Oh, I still had my job. And so basically we moved together to a 3-bedroom house, her boyfriend, her, and me. And we all started living there. And my dogs, did she have any dogs? Oh no, I'll tell you that too. My dogs came with us, and sooner or later, my ex-girlfriend's dog also ended up living with us. So yeah, now I'm living with my mom, paying half the rent, and her boyfriend lives there, and I'm working at the grain elevators. And so it's not too bad. Obviously, I'm living with my mom. Didn't like that. But so I'm like 22 years old at this time, and working at the grain elevators for a long time still. Basically, an entire year goes by again while I'm living there, fighting with my mom, fighting with my mom's boyfriend, growing mushrooms, eating the mushrooms, selling the mushrooms, never selling pot again. And I never sold mushrooms like regularly. I just sold them when I had them, and I was only like a hobby grower. But I do remember, like, I had some crazy experiences with mushrooms in that house during this time. I was still working at the grain elevators. I was making okay money. I was making $15 an hour at the time. And this is 2000, I don't even know, 2010, 2012 time. So $15 an hour was okay at the time. And then what? Oh, I go to jail again. That's what happened. I went to jail again. So, same story. I ended up absconding from probation, or absconding from corrections. Basically, I stopped going to my meetings because I knew I was going to fail. And so I quit going to my meetings completely. And my corrections officer shows up at my mom's house, or my house, whatever. And then he gives me 60 days. 60 days in jail. And I don't know if you ever heard the story where I got into the fight in jail, but that was during this period, 60-day period, where that little scuffle happened. That one-hitter quitter. One-hitter quitter. Yeah. So then I went to jail, and I've already told you guys the story about jail, but I think I'm going to leave it there. My dogs we're all living at my mom's house. I was paying half the rent, and or the mortgage. Actually, it was rent/mortgage, It was rent to own. But anyways, and the bills. I was paying half the bills. But yeah, I went to jail again because I stopped going to my meetings because I knew I was gonna fail, and that's when stuff started getting better after I went to jail that last time. What's up, Duke? What's up, Chucky Norris? 90s C unit. Bro, you were trying to be a fugitive from the law. Oh yeah, I was a fugitive multiple times. I didn't tell you about the absconding. So I think the first one, when I went to jail for 30 days, that was also absconding. I think the time when I went to jail for 3 days is when I admitted to failing. No, that's not true. Yeah, that is true. The first time I went to jail for 3 days, it was because I failed. The 30-day one was because I absconded again, because I didn't go. But I was never like running away. I was going to my job and I was home all the time and they had my address. But it was quite a few months before they decided to come pick me up. Same thing for the 60-day one. I basically I give up. I'm not going to go anymore. And then they picked me up at home. Dude, 60 days in jail is rough. Do they still strip search you when you book you? That is humiliating and undignified? Yes. Yes, you do have to strip down while they're staring at you. You have to move your body parts so that you're not hiding anything in between certain things. And then you have to turn around and squat down, spread, and then cough. And it has to be a forceful cough that makes something go. Look how much of a positive dude you're being though after all that. Jail sucks. Oh yeah, it wasn't too bad. I'm very, very lucky. I'm very, 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 very lucky to be born where I was born. There is a fly flying around, but I'm doing a hell of a lot better than all those kids with flies on their face in those commercials. That's all I know. So I damn count my blessings. Oh, they did not growl. They don't touch you. Maybe if they were patting you down. Oh God, they make you spray your cheeks. That's so tough. I would not want a man staring at me like that. Yeah, right. They were staring right at it, I'm sure. They got to make sure you're not keistering anything. And actually, people still keistered things. I know that for a fact. I didn't see, but I was laying down and we're in the tiny little pod and there's the toilet and this guy's grunting and he's getting something out that he had in there. A bag of tobacco and papers. And he actually did it, and he had it, and I saw it. I saw him have the products, and I'm like, wow, holy wow. I don't want to be here. And I mean, yeah, I'm glad I went to jail a few times because it did make me realize I don't belong here. There's a certain type of person that comes here, I can tell, and it's not me. I'm not one of these people. Staring at your rosebud, inspecting the brown starfish. There's got to be a better way to make a living. Just take an x-ray, keep the other drawers on. What's up, Joey Tough Nuts? But yeah, it's there was this one funny thing that happened. There was this old guy. He's old, and he was there for like stalking charges. He was really weird. He was old, and he had his head completely shaved, except like here was his hairline, and he shaved all of this completely off. He had a hairline like this. He was really old, and he was a druggy guy, but he was there for stalking, I guess, and he had like $1 million bond. And I remember he was a very unique individual. I remember him very well. But he got beat up. So I'm laying in my bed and I'm reading a book, and I can hear him arguing with somebody, and there's a wall in between us. So there's bunks. There's a bunk above me. I'm laying on my bunk. There's a bunk behind me, and there's a bunk over here. And then across the pod, or across my part of the pod, there's another set of 4 bunks attached to the wall on that side. And then there's that wall, and then there's a whole nother pod or section right there with a whole nother set of 8 bunks on both walls. And he was on that side, and he was taking a crap. And the toilet was in between of everything in the middle of the room. Or in the middle of the room against the back wall. And so I'm laying there and I hear him. He was talking crap a little bit. But there was a guy on the phone. I remember the guy on the phone, another old guy. And that guy was so mad. He was yelling at his lawyer, I think. You know, he's on the jail phone. And he's yelling at his lawyer, and he's like, you mother, blah, 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 blah. And he takes this damn thing and he slams the phone like 3 times, right? And I mean, I don't want to break in that damn phone because that's the only way I talk to people. And so everybody's kind of like, yo, stop. And freaking the dude that I'm talking about, the guy with the stalking charges, I'm going to call him Ron. Ron, he's old, you know. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he yells something and yells at that guy. And everybody kind of laughs, and that guy gets mad. And so then that guy gets up and starts, I guess, wailing on Ron while he's taking a crap. I hear it. I hear thump, 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 thump. And apparently this guy started punching and kicking Ron while he's in there taking a crap. And so we get locked down, and the guards come in. They take that guy out, and I talked to Ron later, and he's weird, but it was hilarious. And I'm not going to say exactly what he said because there's probably some kids watching, but basically he goes, he attacked me while I was taking a crap. And he's like, I got a small and a turd hanging out, and I don't want people seeing either one of them. Oh, it made me start rolling. It was hilarious. And the way he said it, he's like an old guy with that hairline all the way back here. And he's like, I got a tiny pecker and a turd hanging out, and I don't want anybody seeing either one of them. Oh, it was hilarious. I know. Yeah, exactly. I was like, how are you going to start wailing on somebody? And I guess he went up because he had a big old shiner. He had a purple swell. Like, you know how sometimes you get black eyes and they're just purple or black or whatever? This one was a purple swelled up bubble right here on his eye. It was a good shiner. Oh, okay. I think I'm gonna end it I'm gonna cut it off there because we're gonna get to a good part of the story. Like, now I've gone through all the trials and tribulations, and I'll tell you this, okay? So I'm in there for that 60 days, right? And one guy who was a tweaker, and he was actually known around town for being kind of a baller, one of those tweakers that you don't mess around with. And he's got a lot of money. And But he was in jail, obviously. He was in there for a long time by the time I got in there. And he was actually super freaking normal. And he kind of seemed smart. Okay? Weird, I know. I think out on the streets, I probably would have hated the guy. But he was sober. And yeah, he was pretty cool. And he looked at me one day and he said, "You seem pretty smart. Why did you not go to college?" And I was like, "Well, I can't afford it. I'm broke. I got felony. I'm broke. I'm broke." And he goes, "Why don't you do financial aid?" And I said, "I don't know how or what or how or what the heck that is. I ain't got time for all that." And he's like, "You should do that. You should definitely freaking do that." And I was like, "Well, how in the world do you do that?" And he said, "You go to this website and you fill out a form and you apply for it and just do it. What do you got to lose? Just do it." And he even wrote it down. He wrote down the website, and I did it. I freaking did it. When I got out, I don't know if it was the day that I got out or the next day or the next week, but it was pretty damn quick. I did not start smoking weed again. I told myself I'm going to stay clean. I'm going to pass all my UAs. I'm not going to fake my UAs. I'm going to get off of corrections. I'm going to go get a job. And I'm going to try to do this financial aid stuff. I'm going to try to go to school. And boom, I did it. And now it's freaking awesome. I'm so glad that I had that conversation with him in jail. Because that one conversation literally completely turned the trajectory of my life around and it made me start to try something. Because when I was working those dead-end jobs and just smoking pot all the time and just spinning my wheels, spinning my gears, I felt like I was just lost. I felt lost, you know? But as soon as I applied for financial aid and I actually got approved and I saw the email that said, "You're approved for this, this, and this," and I realized, okay, this is actually going to pay for all those classes. And then I'm going to have some left over. And what I did was all the financial aid that I have left over, I got a check cut to me. I got an apartment, 6 months of rent I put on the apartment. And the next time I did it again, and I had a job. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Subway. And then I worked at a place called Alcoa Aerospace Center as an intern. But I was damn good at McDonald's. I'll tell you what, McDonald's easy. McDonald's has the best training that you can get as far as getting the training and then going onto the floor. Best training ever. Subway, extremely easy. It just sucks whenever there's lots of people. But I was a damn good sandwich artist. What are you doing? But yeah, so got the financial aid, Pell Grants, started going to college and basically just started grinding and literally just only focused on going to college. And I went there for HVAC, for heating and air conditioning. Okay, and then, yeah. And then, okay. And then I discovered PLC programming and I switched my I switched my major to automation engineering. And so now I'll tell you all about that. We'll get into all that. I'll get more specific into what happened during my college days and all that crap. Because it was like 2.5 years of that. And that's when I met my wife. Your son is ready for dinner? Oh, that's my daughter. If you gamble, bet to lose. I don't gamble. No gambling for me. All right, I think that's it, guys. I think I'm done. I didn't really do much of a workout today, but today's a rest day. Sorry about the full body searches by the cops. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's entertaining. I'll be taking these live streams when it comes to the backstories, and I'll be clipping them up so that I get the whole story flowing properly. But that'll be after we're done. We're getting very close because there's kind of a lot going, but still, we've gotten through a lot of the trials and tribulations. Now it's more of family life and figuring things out. And then I get fat, and I'll tell you about how I got fat and stuff like that. But all right, that's it, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you, Human Help, for listening to my story. Thank you, whoever else, Chucky Norris. I don't know if Mr. E's still here. Steven Sullivan, have you ever done a Q&A? I will. Hell the Frog, what's up? Thank you, guys. Mr. E, thank you, brother. I don't know, I think I saw Olito earlier. I should have called him out. I apologize for that if you're here, brother. But yeah, that's it. That'll be part 3. And tomorrow, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hitting chest tomorrow. It might be another rest day, but I don't think I'm going to do a backstory. I don't want to do back-to-back backstories. Do 10 push-ups, 10 dips, 10 burpees. Go. Under 1 minute. Oh, I could do that. Okay. That's a challenge. That's a hell of a challenge. All right. Let me start it on a minute. And that'll be the end. That'll be the end, guys. I'm going to do that challenge. That's a cool challenge. I like it. 10, what is it? 10 push-ups, 10 what? Dips. Oh, crap. I got to get the dip bar. Oh! Oh! Man, that hurts. I am extremely sore from yesterday. Wow. Ugh. All right, 10 push-ups, 10 dips, and then 10 burpees. I wonder how hard that's gonna be. Can you see the dip stuff? Yeah, okay. Under 1 minute. I'll have to see. Let's see. Okay, I'll go whenever it's 30 seconds. So we got 20 seconds and then I'll start. Okay, 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, 10 push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I made it. I made it. It's 50 seconds. Woo! Woo! Tired. That was 50 seconds. That was definitely within a minute. All right, guys. That's it. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm not in desperate need of a shower, as usual. I'm still gonna take one. A proper dinner. Well, today, I'm not used to bulking, guys. And I think I ate a little too much recently. And so today I'm doing a cut day because I went all the way down to 166 and I started eating again. I'm trying to eat slight surplus, but I feel that steak that I ate, I feel like I got stuck in here and it was just like I was packing more in it and I felt super bloated. So today I've done 2 protein shakes and a bowl of oatmeal and a couple bananas, and that's it so far. I'll probably eat one other thing after this, just one other small thing, but it's gonna be very small. Maybe just a protein shake. Definitely gonna be 1 protein shake, but if I do eat anything else, it's gonna be small. They got Mexican food. They might have something left over. What up, Bolito? It's good to be clean. Your wife will be grateful. Yeah. All right. I'm out of here, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me while I told the story. Tomorrow's going to be chest day. Same time, 6:30 p.m. Central. Love you guys. Don't forget, at least on the weekdays, make sure you get your rest. In bed by 9, asleep by 10, awake by 6, 7 if you need a little more sleep. Some people do, it's science. Love you guys. I'll see ya.